There I am. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Backyard Carpenters Baby Boomers Can Do. I'm Van. I think Jane's in the backyard reading a book. But anyway, she's actually in the backyard. I'm still in my garage, or our garage. All right, you can find us on YouTube under Backyard Carpenter Baby Boomers Can Do. And by the way, I appreciate all the comments that have been made about the project with the table. But if I step out of the way, notice there is no big giant table, dining room table, or 4 chairs. What you do see, and let me drop this down just a little bit, is an antique fold-out type table. All right, so that's what I'm working on next. The dining room table and the 4 chairs were delivered to the customer. So that project is done. All we like now is they've ordered the material for Jane to get a hold of the seats and re-cushion the seats. But anyway, let me take the camera off and show you what I got to do to this little table. Right now I have the table upside down because I got to work on these little legs. These fold in and out like so. I've already had to glue this part to this part to get it to quit wobbling. I have done a little bit of stripped some of this down, but then I realized I'm missing a piece. Now, when you look over here, that's the missing piece that I got to do over here. So, I have got left from a previous project some mahogany. All right, this is a block of mahogany that I will be using. The way I'm going to cut them down is here is my table saw, okay? There is my planer, and this is my combo saw. So what I'm going to do is with the table saw, cut this material down to dimensions that I need. Then I'm going to run it through the planer to make them real smooth. So that's what I'm getting to do, and in each process I'll turn on the camera and let you see what I'm doing. First thing I did is I made me a little doodle drawing to let me know what the dimensions are. So this piece has to be 1.5 inches, okay, and it's got to be 8 5/8, all right, and about 3/4 thick. So that's why my little doodle drawing is done for me. So what I'm going to do first is set the table saw up at my width, which is 1.5 inches. So this one I locked from down here, right, and my scale's down here. All right, I'm going to pause it just for a second and double check my measure. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. So I confirmed that according to my little drawing, this has to be set up at 1.5 inches, which I have done. Now I've got a handle over here that unlocks and locks. Now squeeze this around and get it exactly at 1.5 inches. Actually, I need to do 1 3/4. Gonna have to plane to make it smooth. So I'm gonna actually do 1 3/4 inches. So it's going to make a lot of noise, so I can't really say anything right now, but here we go. Oh, it does help to plug these things up. They work better. And yes, I have a tennis ball jumping around my back. Now these are designed so that we know where to park our cars, where to stop. Since I used this, and I'm looking for my push stick. There's a push stick that goes with this, and I seem to have misplaced it. I gotta have a push stick. So let me go find my push stick. I'll show you what it looks like when I find it. Unfortunately, right now I cannot find my push stick that goes with my table saw. It's a stick that pushes the wood through to keep your fingers away from the blade. So what I'm going to do is actually use a long screwdriver. Right, just the main thing is just to keep my fingers away from the blade. Okay. So I'm going to use a long screwdriver. Here we go. Now this table saw comes with what is called a knee kick to be able to stop the blade. Alright, so I got it to 1 3/4 because I'm going to have to plane. Now this one side is pretty smooth already, but I got to plane down to make sure it's 1.5 inches. Now, next thing you got to do is it only needs to be 3/4 this way. So I'm about to set it back up on 3/4, and I do not recommend that you use a screwdriver. I'm having to get that out of my way. A screwdriver as your push sticks, but this is all I got available. What I'm going to do with some of the material that's left over, I'll make my own wooden push stick. But the push sticks that come with these saws are normally made out of plastic. So I don't know what to do with it, but here we go. So we're cutting this down to 3/4 inch. Why I do not recommend using a screwdriver for a push stick is because, now see, I'll be able to use this and shape it the way I want to be able to be a push stick. It'll go like that and push the material. Alright, so now I got to plane this down. Okay, make it real smooth on all sides. And then I'll cut it to length. So the next thing we do is run over to the planer. When using a planer, mine has this wonderful dial, okay, that my 0 is right here. So I'm going to spin this around, alright, to about 15/16, because it only needs to be 3/4. Alright, this only needs to be 3/4. So I'm spun around. Alright, I'm going to set this on 0. Alright, and then I'm going to send this through and see what happens. Right off the bat, it's not enough, so I'm going to spin it around and take out 1/16 of an inch. Let's see what happens. Gonna set it back to 0, spin around again, 1/16 of an inch. What I'm trying to do is get the 3 blades to get to the point that it actually finished touching it. It's gonna start touching this wood. Alright, so I have now got this set at 3/4. I'm gonna do my dial up here that has a little indicator to 0, and here we go. So now I'm going to let it down and go to a 32nd of an inch. See what happens. Finally had to dial it down to 3/64 of an inch. To get this, let me grab my tape and see if I have managed to get it down to 3/4, which I have. All right, so she's down to 3/4. So I have my inch and, I gotta cut this down just a little bit on this side, right? Because this is actually supposed to be, according to my diagram, 1.5 inches, and right now it is 1 5/8 inches. So what I'm gonna do is set the table saw back up and cut it down to 1.5 inches. I have cut this down to dimensions that I need, and now I've got to, the length, according to my little diagram, is supposed to be 8 5/16. 1 5/16. I'm retrieving my tape. Excuse me. It is 8 by 5/16. 8 inches by 5/16. This is the smooth end. This is the rough end. So I'm going to cut it across here. I'm looking for my 8 5/16 and have misplaced my pencil. I have pencils all over the place. Let me grab another pencil. Yeah, 1 5/8 is what I'm going for. So I made my dimension now. What you're looking at, this is a 12-inch slide because it slides when I disconnect. Now notice I'm keeping my fingers off the trigger. I can slide this back and forth. Let's see, what's got me caught? Oh, okay, that's what's got me caught. Alright, so I got to adjust that. Alright, because it's getting in my way of me going across. Ah. Okay, anyway, so I've got to remount this back here. So I'm not having to slide this, so I'm going to lock it back and then get ready to cut this. Again, I've made my mark. I know where I want to cut. I'm keeping my fingers away from the blade. And here we go. So, now I have cut this to length, the thickness, and the width. So it's ready to be installed on that leg to keep it balanced or keep it from wobbling. I found out that this piece that I cut is actually too long, so I'm putting it over here to the other side, and I'm going to make an indicator mark. Going to spin the camera around, go back to my combo saw. There it is, and cut this down to size. Right. This does help to plug these things up, so let's plug it up and cut it down to size. Because it was just a tidget too long. It was forcing the leg out of plumb or level. So now I'm going to see if it matches. We're going to spin around again. Alright, does it match the one on the other side? It does. It matches the one on the other side, so I know it's going to fit them. So I got to keep drilling these out, and then I'm going to be using these dowel sticks that I'm going to glue, these dowel sticks that I'm gluing, and then I'm going to put a clamp on this and let it sit overnight. So here we go again. What I finally had to do is pull out my impact wrench with, and then, you know, this has a, let me show you. I can just slide it inside, there you go, inside here, and now I've got plenty of space to be able to drill this out. That's the only way I can do it. Next, I've got to find the center point of this so I can then drill a nice clean hole with my drill press. So here we go. Alright, so we know this is 1.5 inches, right? So I've got so many pencils running around, how come I can't keep up with it? 1.5 inches, so we know that would be 3/4 right here, right? 3/4. Alright, and then we got to get this dimension, alright, which is 3/4, and so that would be 3/8. Alright, so I have now made a mark. I've made a mark that puts this exactly the center of this little piece. Alright, so the next thing is drill a hole in it. Unfortunately, my drill press is just a tabletop and it don't go further enough. So I'm going to have to do this by hand. So what I did is, if you can see, there's a little black mark. Oh, there you go. Now you can see it. There's a little black mark, and that's as deep as I want to drill this into the piece. So I've got to go get my exact point. Let's see if you can see this if I spin it around this way. There you go. I'm taking my time, but I got my center point. By the way, you can set these either on 1 or 2. In this case, I've got it on 1, which is a slower speed. My wonderful wife is doing such a wonderful job on kind of cleaning up my mess. All right, say it again.
Cleaning up your mess.
So what I'm doing is I'm now putting glue inside these holes that I've drilled, okay? Inserting this dowel stick, all right, on both sides.
What kind of glue?
It's just wood glue. Just good question on her part. It's just a wood glue, okay? So I'm inserting that, putting it on both sides. Give me a little extra glue that's going to squeeze out and lock it into the little legs right here. So then now I insert it in here. Pull this back. All right, put it together like so. It looks like she's in a perfect spot. Then I'm going to grab my clamp. All right, here's my clamp. All right, and I'm going to clamp this in from this side, okay, and lock this so it will be fully glued by tomorrow morning. All right, looks good. Whew. So I reproduced the piece that was here, but it somehow through the years got broken off. So now I've actually got a piece that fit in there to keep this leg right here stable. But that's all I can do right now. It's no use trying to remove any of the stain because I don't want to interfere with this leg assembly. So I will stick my face right here and say that's it for today. I'm Van, Backyard Carpenter. Baby Boomers Can Do. We are on YouTube. You find us as Backyard Carpenter. Baby Boomers Can Do. And Jane has already gone back in the house. So I've got all this equipment that I've got to now put up. So that's it. And I got to bore you by showing you how to put up equipment. So I'll see you on another day when I continue to work on this antique table.